Michael, and you'll never die. Be one of us.
Notice anything unusual about Santa Carla yet?
It's a pretty cool place. If you're a Martian.
Or a vampire.
Dad.
You know where Hudson's Bluff is? I can't beat your bike. You just have to try and keep up. How far are you willing to go, Michael? Guess first.
How are those maggots?
Drink some of this, Michael.
Don't. It's blood.
Michael. Now you know what we are. Now you know what you are.
Help me! Stay back! Stay back! Help me! My own brother, a vampire. You wait till Mom finds out, buddy.
You don't want to miss this.
You smell like garlic.
Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margot D. Hello, my friend.
Michael,
take a shot every time they say Michael. And the Lost Boys, and you will get alcohol poisoning. Please don't do that. And please don't sue us. We are on vacation. So we are dropping an old episode. This one is one of our favorites. It's The Lost Boys from, I think it's 1987, and it's Kiefer Sutherland, Jason Patric, Jami Gertz. It's a good one. This is a good one, y'all.
We love this movie.
Yes.
And we had so much fun talking about this movie.
Yes.
And everybody talks about how much they enjoy listening to this episode. So we're like, this is perfect. We're doing scary movies in October.
Yes.
Everyone loves The Lost Boys. Who doesn't love The Lost Boys?
So definitely watch The Lost Boys if you haven't, and then come back and listen to this. We had so much fun talking about it. We will be back like next week with another scary movie episode. So if there's something you would like, you got a request other than Hocus Pocus, you guys, we're not going to do Hocus Pocus.
You're not going to do it?
We don't want to do Hocus Pocus.
Okay.
Every year, y'all ask for Hocus. I don't want to turn this into the Hocus Pocus episode, but every year, y'all ask for Hocus Pocus. And there's a reason we're not doing it. And I'll just spoil it for you. Margot and I don't like Hocus Pocus.
we
don't
born in a different generation. So we weren't raised with Hocus Pocus. So for us, it's kind of like, it's this hanky, but.
And so many people love Hocus Pocus. And I get it. Like, you've got your nostalgia glasses on and you love it. And it would bring Margot and I no joy to shit all over the movie that you love. I mean, it might bring us a little joy, but we're not going to do that.
No, it's not fun for us. There's a couple of them. There's Drop Dead Gorgeous, which a lot of people ask for. And I'm one of the few people that just like, it does nothing for me. It actually angers me. It actually, and we're all different. We all have our different tastes. You want to, make your own podcast if that's what you want.
Yeah, but if you have other movies that you would like us to do for Scary Movie Month, or not even Scary Movie Month, whatever, you can email them to us at dorkingoutshow@gmail.com. Follow us on all the things. We're on Twitter and Facebook and Blue Sky and Threads, Instagram. Go there. You could send it to us that way. It's we want to hear from you. We want to talk about the stuff that you want to talk about. So send it your way. And in the meantime, you have The Lost Boys.
All right,
so enjoy.
I'm going to play the trailer right now, and we'll go right back into this episode. Happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy Halloween. We'll see you on the other side. This podcast contains explicit language.
Bafangu!
Welcome to episode 133 of Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and in this episode, I'm dorking out about 1987's The Lost Boys with my podcasting sister from another mister, Margot D. from Book vs. Movie, The Best Neighbor Podcast, Fit Bottom Girls, and Not Fade Away. Thanks for coming on the show to talk about The Lost Boys with me, Margot.
I want to talk about The Lost Boys anytime, by the way. If anybody out there is listening, you want to chat about it, I'm in. When you said Lost Boys, I got so excited instantly. So yes, I am here to talk. I've been ready to talk, by the way, since 1987.
Yes.
So I've been a fan a long time.
We actually were going to talk about something else. And then this was like my late night inspiration, like wake up at 3 a.m. And I was like, Lost Boys. It has to be Lost Boys. It's the perfect time of year for this. I'm going to give people a little summary just in case for some reason you haven't seen The Lost Boys. What is wrong with you? Stop this podcast and go see The Lost Boys. But just in case you haven't, it stars Jason Patric and Corey Haim. They move to Santa Carla, which looks suspiciously like Santa Cruz, with their newly divorced mom, Diane Wiest. And it turns out Santa Carla is infested with vampires, including a very platinum blonde Kiefer Sutherland. The movie stars Corey Feldman and Jamison Newlander as Edgar and Alan Frog, a pair of vampire hunter brothers. It's got Jami Gertz as a beautiful mane of curly dark hair with boobs named Star that Jason Patric falls in love with instantly. And it also has Edward Herrmann and Bernard Hughes as Grandpa. I think that's
Jami Gertz, by the way, do you know she's married to a billionaire?
Yeah. So my husband and I watched this movie, and then he loves to like look everything up, you know, after we watch things. And he said that she's married to like a billionaire who co-owns a basketball team.
Yeah, and I think it's in Atlanta. And he was like he was a bonds guy, I think, or something like that. But yeah, he's got billions with a B. And they've been married for like 25 years or something.
Yeah, she hasn't done anything. Like, I remember she was in a sitcom, like Still Standing or something like that, with like Mark Addy from Full Monty. I don't know if she's done anything since then, to be honest. But I
think Twister was the last thing I remember her in.
She's very, 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 very pretty in this movie.
She's gorgeous, and it's just that Jewish goddess kind of thing.
Yes,
the curly hair and that great skin and that smile.
Yeah,
she's wonderful. I love her in this movie.
What is your relationship with this movie? Did you go see it in the theater right away?
I did. I saw everything. I saw everything in '87 in the theaters. Like I just was totally into movies at the time.
Yes,
and there were a lot of great movies that came out that year. Of course, now I can't remember any.
You know what? I actually made a list.
Oh, good. Go for it.
So some of the movies that came out in '87, Predator, Lethal Weapon, RoboCop, Monster Squad, which I just rewatched again the other night. So awesome. The Princess Bride, Fatal Attraction, Dirty Dancing, Spaceballs, Broadcast News, and a movie I think we need to revisit, Mannequin.
Oh, I would love that. Oh, but what great movies. I mean, you think about that. Like once a month, you had a really fun movie to go see or a good movie to go see,
yes.
I think. Yeah,
I think so too.
And I was totally into it. I had a big crush on all the vampires. I had the soundtrack in cassette and then the CD. And I think I still have the CD someplace because I never want to get rid of it because I played it incessantly.
Yes.
Like all the songs.
The soundtrack, you couldn't get away from it. And I think this is like right when In Excess was starting to be like really huge, right?
Yes.
So you couldn't get away from it. It was on every station.
And like the song When You're Strange by Echo and the Bunnymen. Yes. They've been playing it ever since, I say. Like anytime you listen to one of those modern rock stations, like that's the one they play.
Mm-hmm.
And I've loved it. I owned it on VHS. I owned the DVD. I would still frame like the vampire shots that are really gory. It's very gory for a Schumacher film. Normally he doesn't do stuff like that, but it's a Joel Schumacher film, by the way. And I think it's his best. It's super, super enjoyable. The locations are great. My friend and I would spend a lot of drunken summers in Santa Cruz. We went to San Jose State and we would cut class for the day. Just go to a 680 South. And they're like, screw it. Get on Route 17. We're going to Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
And we'd go to the beach for the day. I know that boardwalk very, very well. And it brings back a lot of memories for me.
Yeah. My husband and I and my son, we go to Santa Cruz every summer and spend like 4 or 5 days there. We walk the boardwalk. We, hang out on the beach. So when we were revisiting this, we were like, just like, oh, there's the bloody blah, there's the this, there's the that. Like, it's so fun to rewatch. And I have to say, like, I was kind of nervous about rewatching it because I super love this movie too. Like, I saw it in the theater. I saw it many times in the theater because we had a dollar house in my town and you pay like $1 and you could see a double feature. And Lost Boys was one of those movies that just played there for weeks. So I would just see what was ever playing no matter what. So it was double featured with different movies and I would just see The Lost Boys. So I saw it a lot. And then you record it off like HBO and you own it. So I was worried. I was like, oh, this is going to be one of those 80s rewatches where it's going to be like racist and sexist and rapey. And, the scariest thing is going to be like their super 80 mullets or something. But instead, it wasn't any of those things at all. And it was super fun to rewatch.
It really is. I mean, the fashions are in some spots super 80s,
right?
But in other spots, they're kind of hippie rock and roll, 60s meets 80s. And that still is kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's not very dated looking. I was kind of surprised, except Edward Herman and Corey Haim wear some ridiculous outfits.
Yeah. The super bright colors, like high collars.
Jackets.
Yeah,
the long jackets on these skinny little bodies. Yeah. But I thought Edgar Allan Frog, hilarious still. That they still hold up. The jokes still hold up.
I love it where he's like, kill your brother, you'll feel better.
You drank somebody's blood. Are you crazy?
Yeah, I'm telling Mom.
I love that.
My husband was like, I'll watch like the first 10 minutes and then I'm going to bail and like go do something else. And of course, he stayed for the entire movie. He couldn't help himself. And there is this like really cheesy 80 things about like the hair and like you said, so, like Corey Haim's clothes in particular. And there's that amazing like musical performance of the saxophone player singing
scene,
I Still Believe. And he's like super oiled up and like, it's just, and it's with the saxophone solos and it's super 80s, but the jokes were still really funny. The gore wasn't like so gross, gory, but it still holds up. Like it still looks good.
It looks great, and everyone's really scary,
and everyone's really game in it. Like everyone's good in this movie.
Yeah. Kiefer Sutherland. I think this is his best performance.
Yeah, it's so good.
I didn't watch 24 very much, but I think he's fantastic here. Who are the other ones? It's Brooke MacArthur.
I know one of them is Alex Winter. Yes,
and Brooke MacArthur, who was Corey Haim's manager for a while.
Oh, that's funny.
He passed away a few years ago. He had some kind of an illness. Diane Wiest, you mentioned.
Yeah.
That year, she had a ton of like really great movies. She was 40.
Won an Oscar like the year before. And then she's like, yeah, sure, I'll do The Lost Boys.
And good for her, by the way, because she's great. Lucy is a great character.
I think
she could be pathetic.
Yeah.
And she's not.
It was fun going back to see this movie as an adult. Whereas when I was younger, obviously I was like, I relate to like the Corey Haim character, or you put yourself in those roles. But now I'm like totally Lucy. I'm Diane Wiest, like down to like the haircut and everything.
And her attitude and the way she conducts herself. And Jason Patric, we've got to mention, he's in here. It's a great cast. And I feel like the vampire parts are really good.
Yeah.
They're very scary and they're very believable. That still holds up.
So I was wondering, after watching it, if this was kind of the start of vampires as like a young, sexy teenage thing, because I couldn't think of a movie before it that did this. And so I did some Googling, and it turns out like Josh Whedon said that The Lost Boys was like a really big influence on Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel, because the idea of like sexy teenage vampires that they look cool and normal and then they turn into a vampire. They're not just walking around at night looking like with the cape and, all that stuff.
I think it was it was before Interview with the Vampire.
I think it was.
I think it was before that. Yeah, no, it did come before that. And yeah, I just think, did you have I had the soundtrack playing in my car for like months afterwards, and I could reimagine scenes the way they did it. I think there's all kinds of like, I love all the touches about it. Like the vampires can do some things, but not others. I love the scene where they try to stab them to death in their lair and then they chase them out and he gets burned on his arm and stuff
that
like
part's
that.
actually really scary. You don't want, you don't want anything bad to happen to them. You
care about all of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bernard Hughes is Grandpa.
He was so funny.
I love Grandpa.
I didn't expect to find him as funny as I did.
They're all really good actors. That's what it is. They're all like really good actors and they're playing it straight.
And you said that, it's directed by Joel Schumacher, who of course would go on to ruin all of our childhoods with like Batman and Robin and stuff like that. And he did St. Elmo's Fire before this, which is also terrible. But then I looked up his credits, and he also did that movie Cousins. Did you see Cousins?
I love
Cousins.
Ted Danson?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
I couldn't believe, I was all, Joel Schumacher did Cousins? That movie's adorable.
It's totally adorable, and he does a good job with this.
Yeah,
this is such funny to me. So like back in the 80s, like when this came out on video and stuff, and you look at it a lot closer because you watch it so many times. And I remember thinking like, how come his character, Corey Haim's character, has a picture of Rob Lowe in his bedroom with his stomach showing?
I said the same thing when I rewatched it.
And then as an adult, I'm like, oh, he's probably gay. Like, that's all. Like, it does. But I remember really confusing me when I was young. And he had picked a poster of Molly Ringwald. It was very confusing.
Yes. Well, maybe Joel Schumacher decorated his room for him.
I have a feeling.
So I did some digging around on this. And do you read any of the comic books? Apparently, there's like a whole comic book miniseries.
About the Lost Boys?
Yes.
No.
I didn't know that. Apparently there is. And that, so, spoiler alert for this old movie that you should have seen by now. But, David doesn't die like the other vampires in the movie. Like he just kind of transforms back to like his human self and he's just laying there. Like he doesn't explode or melt or any of the things. And so apparently the idea is that he wasn't really dead. And then he was going to appear in a sequel called The Lost Girls, which I would have watched the shit out of back in the day. But they never did it. And then, they made all these comic book miniseries and that idea is explored in those.
So David lives in the comic book series.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is a very strange scene and it's a great fight scene at the end, by the way. When the vampires take over the house, by the way, that is incredibly scary and great.
Yes.
And Nanook is a great dog.
I love that dog. Such a good dog.
He's a good boy.
He's such a good boy. Kill the vampires.
Oh, he's so good at that. But when David dies, it's very funny because he does have this weird, like, peaceful look on his face. Because I always wondered, like, what that was about.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Apparently, he was supposed to live.
And so Star was bitten by them, but she hasn't killed anybody yet. But so what does she live on? Because you never see her eating or anything. So what is Star and Laddie? What do they do? Because they're kind of half vampires, along with Michael.
Which I don't know if I've ever seen any other vampire thing where they talk about half vampires.
I don't think that's a thing.
I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, are vampires really a thing? But like, are half vampires really a thing? I'm like, I never heard of it again. I never heard of it before that. I don't know. What were they eating? Were they just sitting around drinking that blood from the bottle?
I will say this. I love the scene where they eat the takeout food. It's like maggots. You're eating maggots. And he looks so annoyed at Michael. And by the way, the name Michael is said out loud 188 times. That's on the IMDb trivia. Like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. The whole movie. Michael. I should have actually just said nothing but Michael from the moment we started recording. Just Michael. Yeah, it is said a lot.
And there's this girl that's in the movie that was in summer school, and she's in the video scene. But if you see her in the like the extent, like the DVD extras or something like that, you could see her there. But we talked about summer school, before, and I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the name of I'll look it up. But yeah, that's like there's like all these like great little cameo appearances. But so when you go to Santa Cruz,
yes,
have you ever ridden that roller coaster?
No. Well, you know what? I did in the 80s. I haven't ridden it as an adult because now roller coasters give me the creeps and they make me want to puke.
That thing bruised my legs. I was wearing shorts and the bar from it, I don't know if I just didn't have it on tight enough or something, but I had bruises across my thighs from that roller coaster. Yeah. Yeah. So I stopped roller coasters after that. So every time I see the roller coaster, like,
nope.
This is why I don't do this shit anymore.
No, I can't do it. Actually, I might be able to ride that one because it doesn't go upside down. But most roller coasters now give me like kind of the willies. I'll go on the log ride. I'm a log ride girl.
Even the bumper cars stress me out now, to be honest with you. Too much pressure.
Is it because we're getting old?
Yes.
Right?
Exactly. Yep.
Oh, that's so sad. Speaking of getting old, this was the first pairing of the Coreys.
Yes, and so what were the other ones they did? License to Drive, Dream a Little Dream.
I remember that.
I'm trying to think of the other ones. They had a show on A&E that was, oh God, it was sad to watch.
I didn't watch it.
I tried watching it a couple of times, and poor Corey Haim, what a sad life that kid had.
I know. It's so, so sad.
And especially, considering he was Lucas, he was in Silver Bullet. He was in he was another famous horror movie then. Yeah.
He was in Murphy's Romance. Did you ever see that one with James Garner and Sally Field?
I've never seen that movie.
Oh, it's really cute. It's very cute.
Aw.
I'm looking at their list now. It says it's The Lost Boys, License to Drive, Dream a Little Dream, Blown Away, which I assume isn't the one with Tommy Lee Jones. National Lampoon's Last Resort. Yeah.
Irish accent. Oh my God.
Can you imagine if they were in that?
Worst accent ever.
Something called Big Wolf on Campus. Dickie Roberts. They were in quite a few things together, obviously. I actually went to like a Hollywood memorabilia event like forever ago. God, it had to be like 18 or 19 years ago. And I met Corey Feldman and had my picture taken with him.
How was he?
Actually, he seemed pretty good at the time. Like he had like kind of normal hair. It was like after his Michael Jackson phase. But like, now, yeah, he looked pretty good actually, but he was really skinny. I just remember thinking he was super skinny. Like I remember touching his arm and it was like touching a chihuahua's leg. It was like
wow, that's a description.
Like really, really skinny. Like there's like beef jerky in there or something. But and then I went to another one and Corey Haim was there. But for some reason, I didn't have the balls to approach Corey Haim. I don't know what that was about.
You probably knew how damaged he was.
Maybe. I mean, they both are.
He bumped out. Yeah. I worked at a mall in the 80s because I was a teenager in California. That was the law.
Yeah, it's the law.
But Pleasanton, Pleasanton, Stonebridge Mall.
Oh, yeah.
They used to do concerts there. And one year they had John Stamos. And when he was in Full House.
Yes.
And he plays drums, apparently. And they had so many people show up. It was just like mayhem. So the next year they're like, we need to bring somebody else that's like a teen idol. So they brought Corey Feldman and he just sang along, like he lip synced to songs and danced like Michael Jackson. And it was so strange. I mean, out like in Pleasanton, California, and this was like almost 30 years ago. And I asked the mall cops, I was like, so what was he like? Like, he was a total diva, pain in the ass.
Oh, that's so sad.
I know, but I remember he was also, do you watch reality shows? He was on one of the celebrity houses.
Oh, he was in like that first season or second season of the Surreal
Life.
Yeah.
on VH1.
Yeah.
And he was a total pain in the ass.
Right.
Yeah.
Didn't he ended that season getting married, right?
Yeah, to Susie. And then they got divorced.
Aw.
Yep.
I feel really bad for them.
I do too, because they were totally exploited.
They absolutely were. And they were really good actors.
They were both actually really. Corey Feldman in Stand By Me is like, that's my favorite performance in there.
Yeah. Well, and everybody's so good in that. And
yeah.
One of the things I was cracking up about rewatching this was Corey Feldman in this movie and how he was like a character actor at heart. It's like they wanted to make him like a teen heartthrob, but he kept gravitating to roles like this or like Mouth in the Goonies or, like,
right.
He always seemed like Corey Haim was the leading man and Corey Feldman wanted to be like play the like sidekick with all the best lines. Did you get that impression?
I think so. I think, Feldman, I think in his heart, he's more of a dramatic actor than a comedy actor because he does the thing with comedy. He kind of doesn't do so much here, but in The Burbs, he really does this. He kind of smirks at his own lines.
Yeah.
When actors do that, drives me crazy. Like, yep, that was me.
Yeah, I'm so funny.
I'm wicked funny. Oh, I have to say this, by the way, on the soundtrack, Walk This Way with Aerosmith and Run DMC. That is the best version, like usage of it anywhere is in that scene. Like the first time they come out to Michael, so to speak. Oh, so good.
So such a gruesome scene too.
And those surf punks look the same, by the way, today.
They do.
They do.
Nothing's changed. And I wanted to say, like, that scene is so well done. It's so creepy and so scary and gory, but not overtly gory.
You have to freeze frame it.
Yeah.
If you freeze frame it, you could see tons of gore.
Right.
But they're very quick about it. A lot of quick edits.
So I guess the cinematography is done by this guy named Michael Chapman, and he did Taxi Driver and Raging Bull and Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And I was like, gosh, what a fancy pedigree. I was like, no wonder the movie looks so good.
And his name's Michael.
Michael, you're one of us. And I don't want to like say the exact line, but I love the ending of this movie. I am a big fan of movies that just end with like, bam, like this is the end. Like, old movies in particular used to do that. Like, and like really just like, and go out on a high note. There was like
supposed to be a scene after that, but they didn't film it because I thought it was so perfect.
Yeah, it is perfect. It's great just the way it is. It's the, nobody's perfect, of its time. I love it that it just ends because I think every movie is like 15 to 20 minutes too long. And this one is not. It is right on time.
There are no scenes here that are extraneous. Everything makes sense. Everything is a part of the action that moves things forward.
Yes.
And it's all, oh God, how much do you just love a video store scene? Don't you miss video stores?
I do miss. I spent so much time there.
Oh my God. See, I never worked at one, did you?
No, I didn't. But I spent pretty much every weekend there, just like every Friday night, like walking up and down all the aisles, reading like every box, picking just the right movie.
And you had to like call to reserve something.
Yes.
And you would, and if Lost Boys came out, it would take weeks and weeks to get it because
it was so popular.
Oh,
I miss video stores though. Although I really do like being able to watch whatever I want when I want on TV. That's pretty cool too.
Yeah. Wi-Fi is a wonderful thing. Let me just say that. YouTube is fantastic. You can just see anything on there.
Yeah.
When you want it. Yeah.
Did you do you have a favorite performance? Is Corey Feldman your favorite in this, or is Kiefer your favorite?
I think Kiefer David is my favorite.
Yeah.
Because it's a big role to fill. If you don't believe him and if you don't think he's cool and sexy and scary, the whole thing kind of falls apart.
That's true.
Because he's the leader. And he does a great job of it. I love the clothes that they wear.
I know, they're so badass. They're
so badass.
So
and I
rock
love
star.
So rocks. I love that hotel thing that they stay in that collapsed during the earthquake, and they have Jim Morrison on the wall. I love all that shit.
It looks like every like college dorm room.
Yeah, of the 80s. Yes.
with the like Jim Morrison poster on the wall. And if he had a Scarface poster on the wall, then I would have it would have definitely been like every college apartment I saw. So I also read that originally the movie was supposed to be about younger kids as vampires, almost like a Goonies with vampires.
I think it's because of Peter Pan,
right?
The Island of the Lost Boys. So they're sort of doing a play on that. And this was Schumacher saying, no, that's not going to work.
Good call on his part. I wouldn't have wanted to watch that movie. What a fucking bummer.
Who wants to see a bunch of 8-year-olds killing people?
I really don't.
I don't want to see a bunch of 7th graders, on a murderous rage. They annoy me enough on their own.
I like the idea of like a vampire that's like, maybe he was killed right in the middle of puberty and he's forever stuck there. So he's like, I'm totally going to suck your blood.
The acne on top of his pale skin.
It doesn't matter how much I wash my face. I will always have acne.
Speaking of puberty, one of the kids, Alan Frog, is this Jameson Newlander. He, for some reason, I mentioned this in one of the trivia bits, but he was growing chest hair. He's just, hormones and shit. But when Brooke MacArthur Paul grabs him, he's in the tub, and then he grabs the kids like, hey, nice work, boys, right?
Right.
He grabbed his chest hair.
Ow.
As he grabbed his shirt. So he says the look on his face like, yeah! Like,
that would really hurt.
That would really hurt. But I know every scene now. So stuff like that totally fascinates me. Because all the deaths are great. All of it.
Well, now I'm going to start working on my fan script about the vampire going through puberty.
That could be like a Ben Stiller sketch from the Ben Stiller show. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
That was my favorite.
Well, so there is like a little kid vampire, of course, in this. Laddie!
Jami Gertz is great, but she's a little over the top. So, the Jewish mother, I think, just like, it's a little laddie.
What is so we never find out, like, how did they become half vampires? Like you were mentioning, like they don't eat, like what do they eat? But how did, who bit the kid? Who bit a kid?
Okay, so I read one of the notes. Somebody said, "Oh, well, they needed a companion for Star."
Oh, so okay.
It was sort of like, I guess. But I mean, he was somebody's kid. Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty gruesome idea to me.
Exactly,
because he's really young.
Yeah, like the idea too that like, she's a chick. Chicks like kids. Let's get her.
We'll give her a kid to hang out with. Then she'll want to be with us.
Yeah.
And she'll start killing people with us.
Who doesn't want to take care of a kid forever?
I wonder, who bit her? Was she into David because he's hot? And then all of a sudden he's like, oh boy, he's stuck with these 3 friends that'll never go away.
Right. Can you imagine? You can never be alone.
No.
His friends are always around forever.
So that's when Michael and Star have sex. It's like, let's do it now.
Yeah.
Nobody's here. Yes.
You've got it. That's what it's like when you're young.
Yeah, it is.
You always have roommates.
Opportunity.
You have to take it when you can.
You're not in the mood. Who cares?
The whole movie is just about, being young and trying to have sex when your roommates are away.
I had a roommate that would use the roof on our building. And in the summer, you could hear it. Oh, God.
Good times.
Thank you. I turned up the TV really loud.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I would love to share those stories, but I used to be roommates with Smith, and I don't want to do that. So.
Oh, okay.
Smith and I were roommates for a long time in college. We would also just turn up the TV.
Turn up the radio, turn up the TV.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I also read, because I like to read things, this movie was filmed in 3 weeks.
I just saw that too.
It doesn't look it.
No, it doesn't look rushed.
No, it's a really good looking movie.
Yeah.
And it's just so fun. It was like such a perfect like Halloween watch.
Yes. And it was just good. It was fun to go back in time because every time I watched this movie, I could kind of remember the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
And how much I enjoyed it. And especially that first scene with the cop that gets, oh my God. Like just, I feel like it starts so perfectly, like right from there.
And let's talk about Edward Herman, who I always think he's old. So when I see him younger, I'm like, oh yeah, he was young. He was young once.
It's that voice. And he's also super tall.
He's so tall.
Yeah. But he's that what's the way I'm trying to, what's the word I'm thinking of?
I don't know.
Oh, authoritarian.
Authoritarian.
Authoritarian. Jesus Christ, people. I'm not drinking. No, authoritarian.
Yes.
He has that about himself. Like he's that erudite kind of thing. He's very well spoken. He's tall. He's in charge of his own space. The way he carries himself. That's what I mean. Authoritarian.
I love his costuming in this movie. How he really does seem like, because he's not super old, but he's a vampire, so he is super old, but he doesn't look super old, is what I'm trying to say. But he looks like someone who's super old trying to dress cool, if that makes sense. So, like, there's, like you mentioned, like his clothes and Corey Haim's clothes. I think it's interesting that these are the two people that look so 80s in this movie. Like, he's basically dressing like a 13-year-old boy in an attempt to look modern, I think.
The first time you see him is in the video store when the kid gets lost.
Yes.
And Diane Weiss brings him in and he turns around and he's wearing like the same jacket I think Corey Haim was wearing in the scene before. And you just giggle like, oh man, stop it.
Yeah. You don't have to try to be cool.
You're in Santa Cruz, for Christ's sakes. Just wear a t-shirt and jeans. You fit in.
I was really feeling bad for her. Like she's trying to like move on with her life and go on dates, and her kids are just ruining it for her over and over. Of course, it turns out she's dating like a head vampire and she doesn't know it, but still.
But he was cute and he was single.
Exactly. Dude, you got to take it. You got to take what you can get.
You're 40 now.
Yeah. She's like, it's been a long time since, someone asked me to dinner and I really want to go. And I just thought that was so sad. Like, she's like, don't blow this for me. And of course they do by like turning into vampires. Kids are so selfish, is what I'm saying.
Vampires are assholes. I loved it when he showed up and the grandpa they didn't have a TV. And I remember the first time I saw that, I'm like, oh my God, no TV. Like nowadays it wouldn't be an issue at all.
No, it wouldn't. I do love what he says, that he gets the TV guide so he doesn't have to get a TV.
Which is a great line.
It is a great line. It's such a good one. Such a good movie. It's just really, really fun.
I love all of it.
And I love the grandfather. Here we go again with me. I love the taxidermy stuff.
Oh.
It reminds me of my dad. My dad has a room just filled with his dead animals.
Stop it.
No, he does. Oh, he's super loves his like vegan daughter who lives in San Francisco. You can imagine we have a lot in common. But he's got this room and it's just packed with dead animals. And I just could relate to that. Like the idea that he keeps putting these taxidermied animals in Corey Haim's room. Like he keeps waking up and it's like an owl or a beaver or, things like that in his room. I'm like, yeah, been there. That's my dad.
So wait, your dad, does he do that to his own pets?
No. Like he hunts.
Oh, wow. That's even weirder.
Yeah. He travels all over. He's been to like Africa, New Zealand, Alaska,
really?
Australia, and he hunts. And he has all these trophy animals. A ton of them.
Daughter.
Yeah. He's also pretty conservative too.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, we have a lot in common. We talk about baseball mainly and movies. We like movies. So
okay. At least you got something.
Yeah, we got something.
I like that grandpa's going on a date and he wears the Windex as aftershave. There's little touches like that.
And he's bringing so like her. Did he like stuff her dog for her?
He said he stuffed her dog for her, and then he said, "I'm going on a date with her." Michael's, are you taking Mr. Barker or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. And then he comes back later and says, "Oh, we both got lucky last night." Grandpa's a great character.
He's such a good character. Really funny. He has such
And that
good
house is
one-liners.
great. And that house is great. It's a great art direction there.
It is. It totally looks like an old man lives there.
Yeah.
Except for the Rob Lowe poster on the wall.
The kid's gay, obviously. Like, what was the confusion we all had?
I know. Well, we're not supposed to think that, I guess. But
I guess.
But I mean, look at him. Of course he is.
Yeah.
The,
That's which is fine.
the clothes. Yeah, he's super into fashion. The Rob Lowe poster. I get it. I have it all figured out now.
So supposedly the comic book store where he meets the frogs, the Frog Brothers, is still it's in operation. It was given to the son. The dad was had a small scene in the movie as an extra or something. And the comic book that Corey Haim reads, it's not a real comic book. They created it for the movie.
Right.
It's just a prop. And the man was allowed to keep it. So he had the whole cast sign it. And so supposedly it's and the shop is still in Santa Cruz. If you go to the shop and you ask to see it, you can pose with it for free.
Oh,
Which would be very cool.
I'm going to do that next time I'm there.
Yeah. So next summer when you guys go out, you got to remember to do that.
Yeah, I definitely will. It's going to be really fun to go back and revisit Santa Cruz after rewatching this.
Isn't it weird? And also just how within 10 years, comic books would be cool. At the time, comic books were kind of a weird obsession for some people. And now it's been totally mainstreamed.
Yes. Well, nerds
I think it's
are
really
cool.
had an influence. Yeah.
Nerds are all cool now. All the stuff that used to be so dorky. It used to be a thing that people were you still like Star Wars? What are you, a dork?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's no, now everyone we all love Star Wars.
Yeah. It's a little much.
Yeah.
Did
you watch a lot of horror movies back in the 80s?
I love horror movies back in the 80s.
I mean, you probably still love horror movies, but
I do. I don't watch as many as I used to. I can't handle really gratuitous stuff, and they kind of up the ante.
Yeah,
all the time.
That's
so
true.
I like stuff more I don't like slasher stuff as much as I like supernatural thrillers,
mm-hmm.
and I like witchcraft. I like vampires and werewolves, or just a good a poltergeist kind of thing. I like that. That's more of my jam.
Poltergeist is my favorite.
We should have to talk about that one day.
That'd be
amazing.
My favorite.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites too.
Whenever I see it's on, I was like, shit, Poltergeist is on. And that's it. I just have to sit down and watch the whole thing.
Yeah, that's more my jam. And I think this movie kind of it sort of pushes my boundaries a little bit, but I think in a good way. But it's a great mixture of horror and comedy. And it's hard to get that right.
Right.
Because you succeed on one side or the other. It's either really funny, but not that scary, or scary, but really kind of not that funny.
Mm-hmm.
They hit them both here.
Yeah. It's kind of a gateway movie, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one of those movies that back in the day, definitely you would go see and be like, oh, maybe I do like this stuff. And that you would move on to something a little bit more gruesome afterwards.
I remember The Craft came out.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to be like this. And it's almost there, but not quite.
Yeah. I remember I liked The Craft, but I didn't love it.
Right. Same here.
And what was the other one? Well, and I love the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie. That was after this.
With what's her face as the lead?
Yeah, Christy Swanson.
Christy Swanson.
Yes,
because if somebody wants us to cover Flowers in the Attic for the book versus movie, and they're like, it's a Christy Swanson film, then my co-host Margot's like, that's going to take a lot of talking into for me. I don't know if I could go there.
There's a remake that they did on Lifetime, right?
Which was brilliant. It had terrible acting, but it was great.
Oh, well, the terrible acting really sells it.
It's amazing.
I did not see it. I saw the original one though with Christy Swanson.
Yeah, it's
not good.
Those books were terrible for us.
They were definitely terrible, and there were so many of them.
They came out every year.
Yeah,
you thought the story was told,
even after the author died.
Oh, the author died, and it was a dude, by the way. I just thought it was a woman. No.
So weird.
Yeah.
Well, now you can read all the Lost Boy books, and that could be your book versus movie.
I'm trying to talk Margot into that.
She's like, no.
She likes scary to it. She doesn't think The Exorcist is scary.
What?
I think
That's so scary.
Isn't that funny? She doesn't think that's scary at all. But like Silence of the Lambs really pushes her boundaries.
Well, that one is really scary too.
But I love that one.
I love Silence of the Lambs too. That's one of my favorite horror movies.
Same
like
here.
if I had to make my list, I think we did an episode where we named our top 5, and definitely Silence of the Lambs. Definitely,
we've made so many lists together.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one I did with Patric Bromley. Patric Bromley from F This Movie came on, and we talked about like our favorite scary movies. And of course, his list is amazing and filled with shit filled with things I haven't seen because I'm not cool. And
I had him on my show to talk about our favorite Stephen King's.
Yeah.
And he said Silver Bullet. And this is the first time, and I laughed. I'm like, ah, ha, ha. And he's like, no, it's actually a good movie. I'm like, yeah, sure. And then a few months later, I saw Silver Bullet with my mother, of all people. It was playing on. And I'm like, this is a great movie. Like, Patric knows his shit.
He really does. I trust him.
He knows his shit. So listen to Patric. Yep.
So turn off this podcast and go put on F This Movie. No, I'm kidding.
Every week. Yeah.
But you should
definitely get F This Movie.
But you should be listening to it because he always has the best recommendations.
He does.
Do you have like favorites you watch every Halloween? I'm just going to start talking about Halloween movies now, apparently.
So Halloween is one of my favorites. I watched that again the other day. There's a good podcast out called Halloween Unmasked, I think it's called. And it's all about the Halloween franchise and just how they got started. And that to me, like, that's like my favorite horror movie. I think it's Halloween. And it's Silence of the Lambs. Carrie, Margot and I are covering Carrie very soon. We're redoing our Carrie episode.
Oh, that's a good one.
And I've seen all of the Carries.
Wow. And there's quite a few.
Many. Oh, I'm a completist.
Yeah.
If I could build a time machine, I would go back to like 87 when there was a Carrie musical on Broadway. And it was such a notorious flop but people loved it, but it was crazy bad. Like I would go back and see that. Like so Carrie's like one of my favorite stories. A lot of Stephen King stuff for me. I love the new It movie.
Yeah, I do too.
That was really good. I need to watch that. Psycho's always great this time of year. I'm pretty basic, by the way. I don't know if there's maybe Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. I own that.
Which one?
Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
My brothers were Kiss fans, so we watched a lot of Kiss when I was a kid. And it's about Kiss, and they're playing at an amusement park, and it's an evil amusement park.
Of course,
and nobody can save anybody except the members of drugged out Kiss. And by the way, the band, they were so drunk. A couple of them, not all of them, but the couple of them were so drunk they had to have their voices dubbed.
Oh,
and so
God.
They look drunk, but then there's like a normal sounding person talking at the same time. It's brilliant.
Okay.
I watch that every year.
I'm putting that on my list.
Everyone see it. It's fantastic.
So my husband and I always watch like Vincent Price movies. Around, but we watch them all year long. It's ridiculous to say that we just watch them in October, but we have specific ones that we watch. So we like to watch like The Tingler and House on Haunted Hill and stuff like that. And so I got him to watch The Lost Boys with me. And then we kind of were like, he enjoyed it so much. And I was so excited that he watched it with me because he doesn't watch like a lot of scary movies with me. And I was like, oh, you kind of like 80s horror. And so we started like going through a list like on, Amazon Prime or something, looking at 80s horror. And so we watched Ghoulies. Have you seen Ghoulies?
I haven't seen Ghoulies in years.
It's a ridiculous movie, but it's another one where it's very cheesy, but we had such a good time. But when it was over, we were like, there wasn't enough Ghoulies. They needed more screen time. So now we're debating watching number 2 because I bet number 2 has more Ghoulies.
So how are you with Freddy, A Nightmare on Elm Street?
I actually like those, but I haven't.
Me too.
I love the original.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember watching 3 a lot because that was the one that like people super loved.
Is that the Dream Warriors?
Yes.
Or is that another one? Yeah, the Dream Warriors is a really good one. Well, Dokken is on the soundtrack. So it has to be good.
Dream Warriors. And I have seen some of the other ones, but I haven't seen them all. And I really should go back and start from the beginning because I think I would probably really enjoy it.
I like that one, and then I like American Werewolf in London.
Yes.
And then Dead Zone is another one I love.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. And then, like I said Exorcist. I'm looking at Amazon has their list of the top 50 of all. The Witches of Eastwick. That thing's such a piece of crap.
I don't think I've seen it since I saw it in the theater. Does
That's
not
also
hold
from
up?
87, I think. No, Margot and I covered neither one. The book and the movie suck.
Okay.
And they were both like wildly praised for the time, but no. Beetlejuice.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a really fun one. I like that one.
That one's a really good one if you have kids too. Like that's one of those ones you can watch together.
And The Omen. I like The Omen, the original one.
I don't think I've ever seen the original. No, I definitely. That's I did it all for you, Damien. Right?
Yes,
okay.
Yes. I was way too young when I saw that as a kid. Yeah, I was on. Patrick was on my show, and I mentioned that movie because he goes, "Yeah, I thought it was okay." He hadn't seen it before, like he hadn't seen it like a couple of years ago, and he's like, "I thought it was okay." I'm like, I don't know. I think he had to be like a young Catholic kid, and to watch the priests and the nuns like get whacked, basically.
That one maybe has to do with like, if you watch it when you're a little bit younger, it like burns into your brain, kind of thing. Maybe it doesn't. All the movies he watches, it seemed pretty tame. I imagine.
Yeah, he likes the really gruesome stuff.
Yeah, like Italian horror and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's his jam. Gremlins is actually
that's a really good one too.
And it's also like I just watched that again for the first time recently in many years. It's really scary.
Yeah, but also was it PG? It's PG.
It's either PG. Yes. I think it's PG. Yeah.
And this one
before they had PG-13.
Lost Boys was rated R.
And I guess it's just because they don't really curse. They don't curse at all.
It's just for gore, I guess. And this came out the summer of 87, so I would have been 16. They clearly weren't carding people because I was able to see it over and over and over. Did you ever carded? I was just going to ask, did you ever get carded? Because I remember going to see St. Elmo's Fire and they wouldn't let me in.
I don't remember ever being carded. I remember trying to go into movies like at 10 or something like that, but I was always kind of tall. And I think that always made me look a little bit older. But
it always depends. Like as someone who worked at the movie theater for a long time, I know it really depended. Like if you were 16 and you were trying to see a rated R movie, chances are we probably weren't going to ask you for an ID because close enough kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if you're like a 10-year-old trying to get a ticket, like that's a little bit more egregious.
I'd like to get a ticket, please.
Yeah, can I have a ticket for Lost Boys, please?
But judging by Peter Brady, and it's not working.
This is my favorite story of the kids who tried to see a rated R movie. So when I worked at the theater up at Chico, outside of Chico State, some kids bought tickets for like Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls or something like that. And then they snuck into Nixon.
Nixon?
Like, who cares? I don't care. Enjoy Nixon, losers, whatever. So then like their mother came and picked them up and she was like, I want to speak to the manager. And I'm like, they're like, I'm the assistant manager. Can I help you? Like a total dork. And she's like, my children like bought tickets for When Nature Calls and they went in and saw Nixon. And I was like, okay. Like, I don't know what to say to that. So I'm like, okay, like waiting for and she's mad at me because I didn't like prevent her kids from seeing Nixon. And I was like, I don't understand. I'm like, are you afraid that they were going to learn something?
What did she say?
She got really mad at me and she poked me.
Oh.
And I was like, ma'am, you can't touch me. I was like, I understand you're upset, but you don't get to touch me. And she was like, you need to better enforce the rules and blah, blah. And I was like, we're not your babysitter. That's what and that's when like another assistant manager. I was like, what's in Nixon? Some dirty words. There's dirty words in Ace Ventura. I don't know. It was just so funny. Like another assistant manager came over because I was like, ma'am, you don't get to touch me. You know,
I
and then
remember
he was
I wanted
like,
to see Flashdance. Oh, go ahead.
No, it's just people are weird is what I'm trying to say.
I worked in retail for years. I have tons of stories.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. No, when I had just flashed back. Haha. I wanted to see Flashdance. My friend and I wanted to see Flashdance. We were too young, way too young. And so we told our moms we were going to see Gandhi. And we did. We saw Flashdance. And our parents really thought we went to see Gandhi. I'm like, you asshole.
You're such suckers. You know what's funny though? Like 13-year-old Sonia, I totally went when I would have saw Gandhi. I would have been like,
Yeah.
like
It's so boring.
Yeah,
Over the years I've seen it.
I'm going to see Gandhi, you guys. And they would be like, she's totally going to see Gandhi. She is. She's not even lying. Fucking goober. My parents.
I think that was my first.
They were so.
I think it was my first rated. Yeah, I think that was my first rated R movie.
Flashdance.
And I remember thinking like, well, what is this I'm not supposed to see here? 'Cause
Right.
there's like no nudity, really. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of sexy dancing, but it's no big deal. It's like MTV quality.
Right. It's just one
But
big
yeah, I
long
think that was
music.
my first rated R movie.
Yeah, it's just one big long music video.
Music video.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, about a welder wanting
Yeah.
to be a ballerina.
Duh.
She had a dream.
Yeah. It's super common. Everybody knows that. A lot of female welders want to be ballerinas. It's true.
And they live in gigantic lofts. They make a lot of money.
Okay, we need to put this one on the list because I have a
We
feeling
gotta talk about Flashdance.
I don't think Flashdance is aged. I'm writing that down right now because that's going on. Mannequin, Flashdance.
Feeling.
Oh, what a feeling of watching a movie that has not aged well. Yeah. Oh, and what is going? All right, no, I'm going to save it for Flashdance. I'm like, like what kind of club is she working in?
Oh, it's bizarre. It's a
they don't
dance park
strip.
where they kind of strip, but they don't strip.
Yeah,
And
it's
they can drop water on themselves that lands on the audience, but nobody cares.
Yeah,
because that's
it's
not dangerous.
it's just like weird. It's just like sexy dancing, but no nudity, and people are like, yeah, woo.
And she has the one friend that wants to be an ice skating star,
Yes.
and it's like, you're 20. If you haven't made it now,
Yeah,
Plan B. Plan B.
You're too old. You're too old
too
to be an ice skater
old.
now.
Yes. And the guy that wants to be a comic and he's terrible. He's like a stand-up. Oh God, I love that movie, but it's
Okay.
really crazy.
That's going on our list.
Okay, that's going on the list. Okay,
Okay.
well, Teen Wolf.
And Teen Wolf.
I love
That-
Teen Wolf.
That's a good like gateway horror movie too.
I think so. I find Michael J. Fox very winning.
He is. He come on, he's Michael J. Fox. He's so likable.
Yeah.
He still is. Whenever I see Michael J. Fox, I'm like, oh, Michael J. Fox.
He's like the king of the 80s, like him and Tom Hanks,
Yes.
like equally like popular in films.
Michael J. Fox is so good. He could make a movie as shitty as The Secret of My Success.
Oh my God.
I'll still pay to see it.
Do you remember that song?
I don't
It was,
remember the song.
No, the Sister Christian guys. Who are they?
Night Ranger.
They played the secret of my success. Living 24 hours a day.
I don't remember it, but man,
Oh, I remember that video.
I really
That
enjoy
movie's a
your
big piece of
rendition, though.
shit. Thank you. I'm here all
that
week.
movie was a huge piece of shit.
A huge, sexist, misogynistic piece of shit.
Yeah. But how much do we like Michael J. Fox, though?
Love him. You're rooting
Like-
for him.
Yeah, even though all of that's happening, you're like, oh, I hope he gets the girl at the end.
I hope he wins.
I hope he
gets the
wins.
job.
I hope he gets the big job and gets to run the company that is happening in every 80s comedy. They all want
Corporate
to
America.
they all want to run the company, or some company wants to destroy the community center of something.
Big business is so funny the way it's portrayed in the 80s.
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another one I forgot that just flashed in my head because it's one of my mom's favorites. Christine.
Oh, I saw Christine on the big screen last year. It was playing at one of the theaters here, and I brought my niece Lorelai, and at first she was like, "What is this movie?" Like she thought it was really cheesy.
Uh-huh.
And then by the end, she was totally into it. And when the car like turns on its lights, like a jump scare in the garage,
Yeah.
she was super scared. She jumped up like, "Woo!"
I love that movie. And there's this one guy, and I love the Now Playing podcast. It's a movie podcast, and they did cover that movie. And they said that one guy, they said they call him Caveman John Travolta.
I know exactly which character you're talking about.
And it is Caveman John
He's got these, like, the one with
mutton
really long, the mutton chops. And I was like, dude's like 30 years old.
He's not a senior in high school. If he's being left back this much, there's a problem.
Yeah, right. I'm like, you guys, like, just graduate him. Come on. He's like in his 30s now. He's like,
but that's a great movie.
Yeah. He's still taking auto shop. He can't pass auto shop, apparently. Maybe this year I'll finally pass. Like his voice.
Hey, mister, are you in my class? Are you the teacher?
So
I can't do the broken voice like you.
That guy's like 30 years old. When's he gonna graduate?
Did you go to school with my dad? Probably.
I love the idea. It's like, I used to beat up your dad and now I'm beating you up.
Movies with their teenagers.
Oh, I love like 30-year-old teenagers. At least in Lost Boys, it kind of works because they're vampires and
they're any age.
Yeah.
And Michael and Sam, they look like they look teenager-ish.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And they're very relatable as brothers. I like their chemistry with each other.
Yeah,
like they're very believable as a family.
Yeah, they're playful, but also like there's that bickering that brothers do. And I like that we're bringing it back to Lost Boys.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Are you watching too much Dynasty? That's a great line. Dynasty was a TV show, by the way, for all you millennials.
Yeah, if you don't know. I will say one of the things that cracked me up about the movie was how quickly Michael gives into peer pressure at every turn. At like every turn. Like, yeah, they're like, follow us, Michael. And like, he does all these dangerous things on his motorcycle. Here, drink this blood, Michael. Okay. Yeah, just jump off this bridge and hold on while a train drives over you. Okay. Like, and
he does it.
And he just does it over and over. The movie is just a big cautionary tale about peer pressure, you guys.
Michael, you're right. He's such weak sauce. He gives in every chance.
So weak. He just gives in all the time. Like everything.
But he's great at the end.
But he is really brave at the end.
Yeah, he gets it together in the end.
And it's a really good movie. I'm really glad that I was going to say that you suggested it, but I suggested it.
Yeah, it was your idea.
It was my 3 a.m. idea.
It was perfect. I watched it last night before I watched the 90 Day Fiancé finale. Excuse me. It was a great night.
Lost Boys and 90 Day Fiancé.
It's horrors upon the horrors.
Which one was scarier?
I have to tell you, there's a woman that got engaged to a guy. She already had a kid, and then she was pregnant and not with that father. And then she starts flirting online with a guy who lives in England, and then raises money to visit the guy while she's pregnant, flies over, meets him, says, by the way, I'm pregnant. Turns out he can't fly to America because he's been arrested so many times for getting into fights.
Oh my God. And he's still single? What?
I know. And in the end, she still marries him. And she's like, oh, he doesn't have a problem. He's not like he's a murderer or anything. And then one of his fights, he gouged out somebody's eye.
Oh my God.
I'm like,
oh my God.
So like I said, horror upon the horror.
Chicks be making dumb decisions.
Poor decisions. Yes. People are making poor decisions. A lot of dumb, lonely people making poor decisions.
That's really, really sad.
But kind of amazing at the same time.
Oh, definitely. It makes for great TV.
I have to say. It was a good double bill.
And it's gone from Lost Boys to 90 Day Fiancé.
Oh, I'll get you hooked. I get everybody hooked. They hate me for it, but they watch it.
You are so funny. Margot, where can people find you on the internet?
The best place to find me on the internet, I'd say, is follow me on social media at the hashtag, at Brooklyn Fit Chick. And my blog is brooklynfitchick.com, and all the shows that I work on, I either post on there or I post on Twitter, so you can check it out. And yeah, thank you so much for letting me be on your show again. It was so much fun.
It is always fun to have you on. We're clearly making this a regular thing.
I hope you guys are enjoying it. We're having a great time.
Yeah, I think the listeners are. I've gotten nothing but positive feedback. So So
Same
it's super
here.
fun. And you can find Dorking Out Show at dorkingoutshow.com, and you can find it on Twitter at Dorking Out Show, and you can always find me on Twitter at The Sonia Show. That's Sonia with an I, just in case some people spell it with a J or a Y. And like I've said on the past, I try not to talk too much about politics, but I'm angry, goddammit! And this was super fun. Thank you so much, Margot, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.